How are you guys doing? What's that new music? Sounds pretty good, doesn't it? The new music is by Zach Markle. Huge shout out. He's one of the vice presidents of KMG Life Inc. I really appreciate him in pretty much all things life. He's got my back like there's no other, and he's a heck of a musician. I really appreciate him. So I just want to make sure that you knew, hey, what's this new vibe we got going on, right? Well, now you know. Zach hooked it up a little bit. We did a little bit of an upgrade to the music. But anyway, this episode is going to serve as a recap for the 10X GrowthCon 2. These are going to be all of my takeaways from the conference. So let's find out what really hit me. What really made an impact on me and my business. Let's jump into it. Now, the conference had all of the normal things like authenticity, core values, accountability, identify your mission, culture, own it when you mess up. You know, those are great to hear, but you can read those in almost every business book. One of the really, the big thing that I took away was actually by a guy named Brad Lee. And he said, don't scale chaos. And I thought I am so guilty of that. And that was one of the things that just really hit me hard, because when you don't really have all your ducks in a row and you don't have everything perfectly the way that you want it, the way that you need it, the way that you are really, really understanding, you have a deep understanding of your business, and you try to open a new location or get bigger and expand. You know, it's great if you really know what you're doing and you understand it. But a lot of people get to a place where they're kind of making money or just breaking even, and then they just expand. But that's only good if you know how to scale. And when things are in chaos, which I've been guilty of so many times, I'm Captain Expansion. And I thought that it was such an interesting thing to look at it that way, because everyone's so obsessed with growth. But if you're in a state of chaos, why are you going to think that it's any different when you get bigger? I mean, if anything, you're going to make things worse. So constantly scaling, constantly growing. Now, there's nothing wrong with growth. There's nothing wrong with scaling. Just understand what you're doing. Really have a deep understanding and be in control of your business. Understand the process. Understand your systems. And when he said, look, man, don't scale chaos, I thought that was so important for people to understand, especially young. I just wish someone would have told me that when I was younger, doing business, to say the least. Another thing that I thought was so great, it was by Grant Cardone, and it was just, he said it was in 6 steps. I'm going to add one of his other steps that I think is actually really, really important, because he kept kind of saying this sales cycle and then saying this other thing. So I'm going to just go ahead and add it in there. This is definitely all from him. He said, have an idea. So your idea is, maybe if you're an artist, your idea is that you want to go out to the world and say, hey, I've got this music, I've got this, I've got that, yada, yada, yada. Or maybe you're going to sell something, or you're going to be a retail operation, or you're in e-commerce, whatever it is, doesn't matter. But you have an idea, then you have to get someone's attention about your idea. Get the attention, say, hey, I've got this idea, check this out. And then you have to move right into the intention. Why do you want them to know about you? The intention, which is step 3. So we've got the idea, attention, and then intention. Your intention is obviously for them to buy your product, know about you, recognize you as an authority, so on and so forth. So you have to let people know, okay, hey, I've got an idea. I need to get your attention. And then I have to tell you my intention. So my intention is going to be, hey, buy my product, right? Okay, so after that, then you have to present something to them. What are you going to present to them? This is how you buy my product. This is what it's going to do for you. This is going to, this, that, and the other. And you give them a proposal. So you go idea, attention, intention. Then you present it, you give them a proposal, and then you close the deal. After that, I think that it's very important to do 2 things. And this is still from him. He didn't put it in this sales process, but it's follow-up and then frequency. And I think they're kind of one and the same, because you want to frequently follow up. You want the customer to know that they are very important to you. And that's something that, because we live in this digital age, we're not used to having a kind of a relationship anymore. It's very transactional. And I think frequency and follow-up is so much more important than people realize. Damon John said, 2 to 5 words that you stand for. 2 to 5 words that you stand for. And now that could be, I'm an authority in this, or I am very, like a lot of people think of me as a singer or a motivator or this, that, and the other. What are the 2 words that are basically your personal brand? And how often do you break your brand? I thought that was so interesting. Another thing that he said is, don't do electronics for at least 1 hour a day. He does it in the morning, so when he wakes up, he won't go and immediately check Instagram and immediately read his emails and do this, that, and the other. I thought that was really great. Another thing that I thought was incredible, I can't remember who said this. I think it might have been Damon John as well. But he said, at the end of the year, at least one time every single year, write your obituary. And write down all the things that you've accomplished in your life. And this man was this, and this woman was that, and blah, 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 blah. And look at your obituary, and it's going to show you what people would see you if you were to die today. I thought that was incredible. It blew my mind. Let's see what else. I'm reading my notes right here. In marketing, there's usually, for really good marketing firms, there's usually a flash in the first 5 seconds to get people's attention. I thought that was really interesting. That's not something that we do very often. Evangelism is very important. Tell your story. Let people know about what's going on. That was from Ed Milet, and man, he was just absolutely great. Another thing, for all the people out there, you're not going to be able to please everyone. You're not going to be able to make everyone like you, everyone love you. It's just not going to happen. So basically, get fired on your terms. Get fired, do it. If you're going to get fired, do it your way. And what that means is have uncompromising standards of you operating. I thought that was really interesting. Let's see, what else do we got here? Write down 5 things that you can do each day. 5 things that you have to get done. You will not sleep until you get those things done. And these 5 things are something that is going to take a step forward. Make sure that there's something that is easy to do. And excuse me. Basically how they said it, write down 5 things. And when you've done one of those things for, I think it was 21 days, cross it off and replace it for something else. Now, getting something done if it's something you already do, then don't put it on your list. These are 5 things that you need to do new, and it's to create good new habits. It's something that can impact you to move forward. I thought that was great. Let's see, micro commitments. It's basically kind of the same thing. Micro commitments is really, really important. At the end of the day, business is about 3 things: a relationship, connecting to that person, and trust. You have to build your value and your credibility. It's very, very important. Let's see. Be a trend catcher. This was from Tai Lopez. Now, to be honest with you, I didn't really like Tai Lopez. From all of his marketing, just seems kind of, we'll say, interesting. But honestly, he gave a great speech. He's a very smart person. It completely changed my perspective on him. I thought that was really cool. The number one thing, a lot of people say, oh, you have to, number one thing in marketing. Again, I don't know who this one's from. The number one thing that you need to have in any marketing is relatability. It's not numbers. It's not, if you go with me, you can get a brand new car. If you get this, if you get that. It's just relatability, man. And that's why a lot of these rags to riches stories do so well in marketing, because it's like, oh, hey, that person was broke and now they're rich. I'm broke. I'm just the before, they're the after. So it's a relatability thing. It's not people wanting a Lamborghini, which Lamborghinis are cool. I mean, everyone thinks Lamborghinis are cool. If you don't, then I don't know. Secretly, I think you think Lamborghinis are cool. But I thought that was really interesting, because relatability, so important, so absolutely very important. Have people around you who believe the same things you do, because inevitably you're not going to be the person who's just balls to the wall all the time. Sometimes, you know what? Life kicks you in the balls. It really does. Sometimes you're going to be down. Sometimes you're going to get depressed. Sometimes it's going to be hard. So get people around you to where when your belief is suffering and your belief comes down, you can borrow some of theirs. I thought that was so great, and I absolutely have that in my team. Who are you really? Who are you really? So they said, okay, if you're like, for instance, I'm Greg Kimball. What the hell does that mean? Why should anybody care about that? So if you're going to be running around and you're going to be really anything, if you're going to say your name, who are you? And really, really think about who are you? Have the guts to step out on your magic. This is from Tim's story, and that he probably hit me the hardest. He was just absolutely incredible. We'll talk about him just a little bit later. Almost is just a discount version of yourself. If you say, I almost did that, that's just a discount version of yourself. I thought that was great. I think this is all Tim's story, actually. He said, once you've touched the fire, you can't live in the smoke. I thought that was great. And so you get a little taste of your dreams. You get a little taste of the magic. You get a little taste of something that really, really ignites that passion inside of you. It's really hard to feel that and then go back and live in the smoke. So once you've touched the fire, you cannot live in the smoke. I thought that was insanely incredible. Four categories of life. Mundane, which is boring. You're going doing the same thing. Messy. You're not organized. You're not really knowing where you're at. Maybe you're here, then you're there, then you're here. You're just all over the place. I mean, I'm guilty of the messy thing, and I'm trying to correct some of that stuff right now. I'll be honest with you. Madness. You just live in a state of chaos. You're always scared. You're always running from something. You're always running towards something. You're always and then when you combine the messy and the mundane and the madness, that's where a lot of people live, and they just move from those three. The fourth quadrant of your life. So you have number 1, mundane, number 2, messy, number 3, madness, number 4, the magic. Do you live in the magic of your life? You have magic. That's why when you're a small kid and you look at Disney and you look at all these different things, I mean, magic means something. Magic draws us to it, and it's because we have it inside of us. You have to be disciplined. This is another thing I really have to work on. Discipline. I mean, I've wanted to put out, I've gone from wanting to do this podcast thing and, hey, I'm going to put out a podcast once every single day. I can't do that. I'm going to do it every week. Then I get sick. But I should have still done it. I should have had enough in the can to, hey, if I get sick for a month, I'm good to go. That's only 4 if I do one every week. So I'm going to commit to you guys that you're going to see one from me every single week at a very minimum. And the thing is there's so many of my podcasts where I've started out by saying, I'm sorry. I shouldn't have done that. Blah, 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 because I haven't been able to stay on top of it. I'm going to live in discipline. I'm going to live in my magic. Right under here, my note says consistent podcast. All right. So hold me to it, guys. Unique product, repetition. The road to paradise begins in hell. This is from Tim Grover. He is kind of the consummate badass. He talks about, I mean, hey man, if you want to live in paradise, you've got to go through hell. You've got to put in the work. There's no way around the work. You got to be able to do that. Another one that I love, don't compete, disrupt. There's no reason to compete with anybody else.
Pixel 2 XL.
Okay. Well, apparently my Bluetooth is connected to Pixel 2 XL. Let's see. Oh, this was probably one of the biggest things that I want everybody. This is probably my one big takeaway, actually, because I'm so guilty of this. It says, don't build a plane. Don't build a hotel. Okay, what does that mean, right? Okay. I'm kind of guilty because I've got that entrepreneur fire inside of me. And everybody today, every single person that you're going to meet is that, hey, I'm an entrepreneur. I'm building $1 billion company. I'm doing this. I'm doing that. And every time I get into a situation where I don't necessarily like what someone's doing, I'll build a business. I'll compete with you. I'll disrupt you. Well, the problem is this person was on stage. I'm pretty sure it was Grant Cardone, and he said, "That's fine. But if you want to, if you're so pissed off, like there's a time to be an entrepreneur, there's time to be a partner, and there's time to be an employee. I'm an employee of some of the other companies that I sit on the board of, or I work in, or I work with. Any of my customers, whether it's a student or it's some of my clients in the ad agency, I'm their employee. So they're giving me money. They are employing me. That's literally how that works. But anyway, he said everybody thinks that they're just going to leave. Like I've had a lot of employees leave and say, I'm going to go start a studio. I'm going to go start a school. I'm going to go start, and I'm going to do it better than you. And he said, that's the equivalent of saying if we're going to come, like for instance, we're at this business conference right now. That's the equivalent of saying, well, if you want to stay in the hotel, why don't you just build a hotel? Instead of buying a room at a hotel, just build your own. Instead of flying Southwest, they've already built the infrastructure. They've already done the hard work. They've already built the planes. They've already done all these things. Why don't you just build a plane? I don't want to fly on your plane. I'm going to build my own. So you've got to be really careful about this entrepreneur mindset, because a lot of people will just, I'm so guilty of just starting businesses to start businesses. I got to be focused. I've really got to focus and double down on what I'm good at. What I'm good at is motivating, running a school, being involved in music, advertising, media, creativity. I've got to be in the creative space. But there's so many times where I've gone and I've tried to start a health company. I've got no business in that space. I've got no business in that space. As a leader, if you're going to, this is another takeaway. As a leader, if you are going to be someone who is making the decisions on who gets what job, look for the busiest person and give them the job, because they get stuff done. Look for people who want responsibility. Look for people who want responsibility. I thought that was huge. Another thing he said, if you're running your company, people never quit and then leave. People never quit and then leave. You can see if someone has quit, because they quit the job and then 3 months later they either get fired or they find a new job. People always quit way sooner than them actually leaving. So start being able to recognize, and don't let one person run the company. No, like you have to have standards. You have to hold everyone accountable at the same thing. Be unreasonable. This comes from someone who's saying, I want to know all 8 billion people on the planet. 8 billion people. And he says, hey, this is an unreasonable goal, but by me trying to take the amount of action and the amount of time and the amount of effort to try to reach 8 billion people, there's no way I'm not going to be successful. There's that old saying, I think it's Leonardo da Vinci. He said, you know what, I would rather set the bar way too high and never achieve my goals than set the bar so low that I always reach them. That's huge. That's great. And I would encourage you guys to do the same thing. I hope that this was helpful for you. I just wanted to give you kind of a quick recap. Those are just some of the notes. I have pages and pages and pages and pages of notes. It's a 4-day conference. Those are some of the ones that really stuck out to me that I think could help a lot of people out there. Remember, live in your magic. You don't have to build the hotel. You don't have to build the plane. Look for people who want responsibility. Be consistent in what you're doing. I'm coming back and I'm going to be a different person. I'm going to be a better leader. I'm going to be a better friend. I'm going to be a better husband. But I'm going to double down on the things that I'm really good at. I'm going to double down on who I am at my core being, because I know that I can make a difference. And at the end of the day, when you get up in the morning, you can only hope that that day is going to make a difference in your life, your family's life, someone else's life. So when you wake up in the morning, just set out with the goal. I will make a difference today. Thank you so much. This has been the Final Percent Podcast. I do appreciate you guys. I know I always say that. This is Greg Kimball. I will see you next time.